How we doing, America? This is A Few Good Mics, and I am your host of the week. You're dealing with the brick wall this week. How you feeling, boys?
Pretty good. I'm actually going to host this week. Round 2 here. Carb, how are we doing?
Well, I'm going to try to keep it sane today. So thanks for listening, everyone. Got a huge slot set for you for today, so strap in, and hopefully we give you some good conversation.
Quick shout out. We did get a comment about our wrestling section. Appreciate it. If you'd like to talk about anything specifically, just throw another comment, and we'll do that for you. Jumping right in, Big Nate wants to talk Big Baller Brand. He got his new sneakers in the mail yesterday, $500.
$500 right in the shitter. That's what I'm gonna say. Oh, as far as you guys probably saw over the weekend. Once again, big baller LeVar got in another altercation at AAU game in Las Vegas. He had asked a ref basically to get the hell out. It was a female ref. They really turned it into a bigger deal than I think it was. The thing is that they're trying to throw the sexism card out there, which I don't think like I kind of said, the AAU circuit, you're not going to have the best refs. It's just going to be like your elementary, middle school refs we all had when we were playing basketball. Like, they're not getting paid the big freaking bucks to, you're going to get some shit refs. There's nothing else to say about it. But to kind of elaborate on that, the fact is every single AAU game, every single time there's a tournament that he needs to blast his goddamn mouth off. It's getting old. Like, I'm getting sick of it. So that's my hot take.
I'll just give you a hot take back on LeVar Ball. I think he's an idiot, but I think he knows what he's doing in the sense of with Lonzo. I didn't even know who Lonzo was. Granted, I didn't know a whole lot about his basketball talent when I did find out about him because it was all about LeVar. But he puts his kids on the map for, everyone. Everyone knows Lonzo Ball. And then, like, that spotlight transitions into, like, a place like the Lakers. They want a guy like that. They want that. Like, the Dallas Cowboys would be a team that wants that kind of freak show because it attracts people and views. And he does that for his kids. And now it's funny because now that Lonzo's, like, set, the sneaker thing is out, whatever, and he's drafted, he's with the Lakers, did really well so far in the Summer League. Now it's transitioned to LaMelo. Like, all you keep seeing is AAU ball, LaMelo, and it's like, he's putting his kid back on the map. And if you're whoever, you're potentially seeing, you're obviously already going to see him as AAU basketball, and he's already good. But you see what I'm saying? Like, he's putting that name in people's mouths. It worked for Lonzo, and I'm just saying he's an idiot. The stuff he says is ridiculous. He said he could beat LeBron James and Michael Jordan.
He said it was LaMelo and him could beat LeBron and Michael, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Literally what I just said. But yes. So, what he says is ridiculous, but it's almost like what used to be First Take with Skip and Stephen A. Like, they say these ridiculous, Skip says these ridiculous things, and he goes off on a limb, but it gets you talking about it, gets you fiery, it gets you interested, and then you're talking about his kid and potentially putting him out there, getting him a lot more publicity than he would have if he was just Joe Blow playing basketball really well.
Well, that's right there. That, like you said, going back to earlier on, outside of me seeing LaMelo score that 92 points last year when he pretty much just cherry-picked, we wouldn't hear anything this summer, but because LeVar keeps making scenes and doing stuff, we're seeing LaMelo in AAU ball. When do you see people in AAU ball on ESPN?
I was just going to say that. Exactly that. He's putting his kid out there.
But when will he realize that, some people are going to take this? What if Lonzo doesn't work out in LA? What if he has to, like, it's kind of like the Kaepernick thing. What if Lonzo turns out to be this, like, backup point guard in the NBA? Everywhere you go, it's just like Kaepernick. You're not gonna want Kaepernick because he's a distraction as a second string guy. You're not gonna want this freak show of a father running around from town to every NBA town to town to, just to sit there and embarrass and do outrageous things. I don't know. That's you can look at it from that way too.
I don't know if I exactly get the Kaepernick reference there. I think that's a bizarre reference, but I mean,
outrageous.
I think what you're saying, I mean, like you say, so let's say Lonzo totally eats it and just plays out his contract, never really plays again. I think what LeVar did was besides Lonzo's skill, but he publicized him like crazy, blew him up, and put him on the map, gave him the opportunity. Don't take it wrong, like obviously Lonzo did his own work to get there too. You don't just get drafted based on what your dad says. But you get what I'm saying, like he's there. In my mind, his dad couldn't do anything wrong. I mean, if he falls on his face, he falls on his face, but he got him there. He's at the top of his, it's where the best place he can be. And now he's on his own. I mean, I think his dad did everything right in that aspect. He got his name out there. He's an idiot. He says stupid things. They're bizarre. His shoes are ridiculous. Kid doesn't even wear them. I don't even get what's going on there.
I don't understand either.
But he puts him in a spot where you're talking about him, and now he's in the best spot right now. He's in LA, the kid playing NBA ball, probably going to start. There's all sorts of rumors about all kinds of people, LeBron James, everyone going to LA at some point, likes to build here. I think he's in a great spot. I mean, regardless if he makes it or not at this point, he's there, and that's the dream. If he doesn't make it, he doesn't make it. But I would be fine with that. I think he'd be too. I mean, like, he put his kid there. I don't get like a distraction or whatever. But some teams like that. Look at the Cowboys. They
fit in LA. It fits in Dallas, but it doesn't fit in it wouldn't work with the Sacramento Kings. It wouldn't work with the Charlotte Hornets or any.
Let's be realistic. Lonzo seems like a good kid. I mean, he's not the one shooting off his mouth. I don't think LeVar Ball will get much credit. I mean, much publicity anymore with Lonzo playing in the NBA and already being there. Plus, I think, like I said, it's almost like LeVar knows. He's like transitioned to LaMelo and is all about LaMelo. He's like publicizing him up because that's like he's a smart guy, I think, in the sense of what he's doing. And he's just like Skip Bayless. He baits you. There's no way he legitimately thinks he could beat LeBron James, arguably just a year after his prime or so. And Michael Jordan could be in his grave, and LeBron could still take him and LaMelo 2-on-1. But I mean, like it's asinine, and he knows it. But you're talking about it. We're talking about it, and you're also talking about LaMelo Ball, an AAU basketball player. I think he knows exactly what he's doing, and it's working.
Well, and that's the thing right there is he is putting his kid in a position to succeed. Now, what the kid does with it, that's on the kid's own doing. Like, yeah, Lonzo, he may, as Nate wrote, he might kind of fall out after 5 years. That's not on LeVar. LeVar put his kid in a position where he has the opportunity to succeed. That's all you can really ask out of him, and he's doing it better than anyone could have ever expected or could probably even replicate anytime soon.
Yeah, I think, from a marketing standpoint, obviously he's got all the gifts. It's good. He's good. I will say this. He is a respectable player, and I think LaMelo is too. They kind of keep their mouths shut. But like you said, it's really just a big-time marketing stunt that LeVar's putting on his kids that, obviously I'm going to put my ass on the line for you. And like you said, it's up to the kids how they want to run with it. But like my column says, I don't see it as a long-term thing. I see maybe Lonzo playing 5 years, 6 years in the NBA, and that's it. You never hear of him again. So,
well, that could be. I think he'll be fine, but I think LeVar's job is done there. He did his part in helping his son get there, and I agree. I think he's a total idiot. I think the best comparison for him would be Skip Bayless.
Mm-hmm.
Total idiot, but he's good at what he does because he knows what he's doing. He's good at it. and he's an idiot. People think he's an idiot, and they often don't respect him, but yet you still watch him and, conversate about him and whatnot.
Yeah, and one other thing I want to say, kind of going off track just a little bit, referencing the whole shoe thing. Are those shoes really worth $500, whatever the hell they came out to? No. But if he's getting someone overseas to make them for $20, and someone here buys them, as a business perspective, he's doing the right thing. People are going to do it. Is it right? I mean, it's crazy enough to even buy a pair of Nikes for $100. Why would you spend 5 times that? But he's doing something right because people want something with his name on it.
Well, right, and on that side, I mean, from the business standpoint side of that, I think it's genius because you sign a contract with Nike and get, I don't know, I mean, like a big time contract would be a lot of money, obviously, so it wouldn't make sense. But like, let's just say, you made $5 million to sign with Nike for 3 years, whatever. That's a lot of money, but think about the money Nike's making off that. If they're signing you for $5 million, they're making a boatload of money. If Lonzo Ball takes off and say we're to be LeBron James, those shoes are going to take off, and you're going to be taking all that money, and nobody just has the courage, or maybe want to take the risk of doing your shoe brand on your own because. But granted, if that pays off, you're profiting all that on your own. No Nike, Adidas is cutting you off the head and just giving you your contract because what I'm saying here. Like from a business standpoint, it's a risk, and if that takes off, it's crazy. But last time I checked, they had over $500,000, which isn't. I mean, it's $500,000, whatever. But that was in like a month of their shoes coming out. And he hasn't even played in the NBA yet. I'm saying he takes off, and those shoes take off. Granted, $500 is steep. I think he could have done like $150 or $200 even, and done a lot better. But he takes off. Lonzo turns out to be a great guy. The next Kobe Bryant, say. The money that he would have made with Nike versus his own brand, if it takes off, is like he'd double if he goes his own brand.
Well, you gotta look at those profit margins. Garb, you already kind of hit on this. I mean, yeah, if he's getting some Chinese company to make them for $15-$20 and he's selling them for $500, that profit margin is unbelievable. That's what'll make his shoes sell. I mean, that's what's going to profit him the most. That's what's going to profit Lonzo the most. That's what's going to profit his family the most, is like cutting those margins. You get those margins. I mean, hell, I don't have a calculator on top of my head, but I mean, $20 for $500 shoes. I mean, your margin's really nice with that.
That's a huge portion, but there's also like a happy medium there where, like I said, if you bid $200 price, so I'm sure you'd sell more and would outdo your profit at $500 because it's a more marketable price. If you sell a car that's only worth $20,000 for $50,000, you might sell a few, but you'd sell a lot more. You know what I'm saying? Like it's.
Yeah, it makes sense. In the long run, you'd probably make more money, get your product out to more people. Yeah, that makes sense. And I didn't mean to go on kind of a business tale on it, but I was just kind of encompassing the idea of a lot of people in the sports world see LeVar as some out there crazy, asinine kind of jackass.
Exactly.
But really, what he's doing, even though it's questionable, he's succeeding at what he is attempting to do. So, love him or hate him, he's doing what he wants to do, and he's doing it the way he wants to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think smart guy, total jackass when he comes off as a jackass, but I think he's a smart guy deep down. Let's move on, though. Odell Beckham Jr. here. I just wanted to read this quick to you guys. He obviously wants a new contract, and this is what he said in quotes. I believe that I will be not just the highest paid receiver in the league, but the highest paid period, meaning that he wants to be the highest paid player in the National Football League. He does go on to talk about basketball, with some of those guys getting like 6-man, not even starting, and raking in like triple what your average players.
He can't compare what he's making in NFL to a different sport. The NBA, you got, 12 players in a team? NFL, you got 53. yeah, the stadiums you play in the NFL are much bigger, but when you only got to worry about 12 players versus 53, you got a lot more room to move money around and a lot less people you got to try to keep happy. Now, is Odell Beckham good? Yeah, he's obviously a top receiver in the league, but to be considered top paid player, I don't think he's done enough, nor do I think a receiver will ever really hold that role just because of the way quarterbacks are. Now I know, what was that, Antonio Brown had a crazy contract. I mean, obviously they're up there and it probably will happen, but I just think in the way that the game is played, I don't think a receiver really can ever outdo the quarterback to get paid outright. And even when you look at players like that, the quarterback after the season, and I only know this because we're Packer fans, every year Rodgers buys the offensive line gifts, watches, jet skis, ATV, stuff like that. What is Beckham going to do? He probably ain't going to buy anybody on that team a gift. Now, he might have, and I have no idea if he has or hasn't, but when you get paid all that kind of money, well, some of that money's got to come back to your players because they're the ones who are helping you succeed. It's not just you.
Yeah, I agree. Nate, you want to talk on that before I hit on it?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I kind of with your point on. I mean, yeah, the only person I can really see him paying back is his quarterback because his quarterback's going to give him the throws to make those incredible plays that he does. I mean, yeah, he's a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't think from a money perspective, that he's going to get exactly what he wants. But I did see another article today that the Giants are very, very high on him. Like they obviously see the world of him, as their franchise player. So I mean, honestly, it's the Giants. Can you not see the Giants overpaying him vastly? I mean, it just wouldn't surprise me much.
Okay, I'm just gonna. Go ahead.
I got one last thing, if you don't mind me butting in here real quick. Another reason why I don't think that Beckham has done enough to earn that title is his composure. You cannot be that, I don't want to say childish, but the way that he acts in the sidelines, especially after losing a playoff game to go and punch a wall in an opponent's stadium, like if you're going to become that high-paid player on the team, you're now becoming the face of that team, and you got to represent. I just don't think that he's mature enough and has enough composure off the field to really warrant that type of a title. Now, does that mean anything in relation to his contract? Probably not. But I think that that's one thing that's got to be considered is, are you going to be able to keep yourself together, or are you going to keep having your little freakouts and something happened? Yeah, exactly.
Well, and two, I mean, you guys saw obviously the battles that he had with Josh Morgan when he was in Carolina. Like, yeah, I mean, Morgan would sit there and, I mean, they're both kind of trash talkers in their own respective positions, but it's just one of those things that you're not only an athlete, you're also a person, and if you ever feel that the person in you is like Garb said, immature. I mean, you got to look at that. I mean, they're not gonna, if you're an NFL player and you have 3-4 DUIs and poor character, you're not going to get paid the max contract because they're going to see even off the field that you're a freak show. So I mean, OBJ, I mean, he is pretty good in the community from what I've seen, but I mean on the field, I mean he has thrown quite a few temper tantrums, especially with corners, especially you see it. I mean, not just with Josh Norman, but I mean there's other corners in the league that he's gotten in little fights with. So
yeah, I mean I actually didn't really think about the whole him really not being, I guess you could say, like a locker room friendly. The field goal net and everything like that is just not something you want if you're the highest paid player in the league. But I'm going to throw a couple things out there at you and then just gonna have you guys retake on this, all right? So first, we're going to look at the actual NFL stats. So receiving yards, it was topped out by T.Y. Hilton at 1,400 yards, basically. I mean, 1,448. Odell Beckham was at about 100 less, and he was in third. So he's still behind T.Y. Hilton and Julio Jones. Okay. And Antonio Brown on that list was like fifth at about 1,284. So, I mean, they're all pretty much within 75 yards. But just keep in mind he's third in that, I suppose. Touchdowns, obviously Jordy Nelson, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Devontae Adams were all up there at the top, and Odell Beckham finished fifth in touchdowns with significantly less, in my opinion. You know, Jordy led with 14 and Odell Beckham had 10. Any other stats you want to know about as far as, you know, that reception?
Yards after catch.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yards after catch here. Yards after catch. It's a lot of running backs at the top here. Odell Beckham is sixth with 524. The highest is Le'Veon Bell, 685. So it's Le'Veon Bell, Travis Kelce, David Johnson, Jarvis Landry, Golden Tate, Odell Beckham Jr.
So yeah, most of that above him is running back. So I guess that doesn't really matter too much.
Right. I'm just going to do receptions because, I mean, it might be small yards that get you like first downs and stuff, but I do think that's important. He was third on that list behind Fitzgerald and Antonio Brown.
How many touchdowns over 40 yards?
Sorry, what was that?
Isn't there a stat like touchdowns over 40 yards or touchdowns over 20 yards or something like that?
He's got 20-plus catches, like 20 yards plus. And he had, he had 20 in fifth, ranked fifth behind T.Y. Hilton at 28, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, and Amari Cooper.
How many snaps did he play last season?
How many snaps did he play?
Yeah.
That's not on my list of things here. But Odell Beckham is 24 years old. Antonio Brown, let's take a look here. I'm not sure how old Antonio Brown.
See, I look at it more like you talk a lot about T.Y. Hilton in those. Who else do the Colts have for receivers besides T.Y. Hilton that's relevant? I mean, you kind of got to look at it from that way. I mean, Giants have Sterling Shepard, Pittsburgh. I mean, they have I can't remember what his name is.
How are you being like relevant to this?
I'm saying, I mean, obviously the Giants have other guys to throw to that are not like T.Y. Hilton's like the Colts guy. Like there's not really any other dominant receivers on that team. So he's going to be targeted more.
You're saying based on that. Stats say basically.
I still would take, if you give me a fantasy draft, I would take Beckham over T.Y. Hilton, even though the stats show otherwise, just because.
I don't necessarily think they did. T.Y. Hilton really only led in like overall yards. But what I'm trying to tell you is, I mean, he's younger, which is going to help his case for getting a long-term contract, but he's not even the top in every category in his own trade, I guess you could say, position. Another thing I'm going to throw at you quick. So I don't necessarily I don't think he should be paid even the highest receiver, but close. I mean, him and Cooper, but I don't think he's quite at Antonio Brown's production level or like key level. I think he's had a couple superstar catches that have boosted his ego and kind of thrown him higher than he should be. And then I'm just going to do this. So highest paid receiver is Antonio Brown this year, and he's making $17 million. If Odell Beckham were to be paid the highest paid player in the league per year, let's say, this year, it would be $25 million is Derek Carr. So he'd need $8 million this year alone more than Antonio Brown to be the highest paid player in the league. I mean, that's just absurd. He's not, in my mind, he's not better than Antonio Brown, and I'm not going to pay him $8 million more. That's crazy. But this list is kind of crazy too. So take a look at this list. as far as important people goes and who you want to pay on your team, Ndamukong Suh is getting paid $19 million this year. That's more than Antonio Brown. Just pull up that list quick. That was fairly high on the list here. 17th overall. The rest is all quarterbacks. Him and Von Miller are really close. They're the top two outside of quarterbacks that are getting paid. So my question is this. Would you rather pay a wide receiver like Odell Beckham? Is the money better spent there, paying him, say, $19 million instead of, like, even Antonio Brown, the highest paid receiver, getting 17? Or do you pay a D tackle? I mean, obviously, I think Suh's kind of an outlier here because he's trash now.
Yeah.
Well, not trash, but he's not.
If we're talking about Suh 5 years ago when he was on Detroit and dominant, yeah, that's a different story. But
I mean, I get his argument in the sense of I think he deserves to be paid more than Suh. I think he impacts the game a hell of a lot more.
Right. I mean, Von Miller is kind of the best linebacker in the NFL. So, I mean, that's
from the Jets. I mean, decent player, $17.2 million. That's still more than Antonio Brown. I'm just asking you, if you have money to allocate, and this guy like Odell Beckham wants a lot of money, are you going to pay a D tackle or D end more than you'd pay a wide receiver?
Yes, because I think.
But is that really smart?
I mean, if you want to look at it this way, let's look at Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown isn't just a force to be reckoned with when he's catching passes and all that. He's also a force in the punting game and the kicking game. Like he runs back kicks, he runs back punts. So I mean, I think if you're looking from like a marketable standpoint, a wide receiver is more able to do punts, kicks. Wide receiver doing the reverses with a running game. I think it's probably a more versatile position than, say, a D end or a D tackle. But I still think, there's, as you said, there's only one or two linebackers and D tackles that are in that, $20 million category. So, I mean, I feel like, he could get more just because, if they use him more in the the punting game and kicking game, because they can be more versatile with a wide receiver. But I mean, with D tackles, D ends, you get what you get. They get sacks, they're run stoppers, they do that. They don't really, obviously, unless you got like a J.J. Watt who you can fill in at fullback when you're 2 yards from the end zone. I mean, that's really the only attribute that they can bring aside from, like what a wide receiver could bring. So
I think it's a tough debate because I don't think he should be the highest paid player. I mean, I would take Julio Jones over Odell Beckham too.
I would too.
More explosive.
I would probably even take Amari Cooper over Odell Beckham.
Or you could argue AJ Green. I mean, he's in a tough receiver era, but he's not even at the top of every category. If you want to get paid the highest, you got to be at least the top in your own category before you want to be at the highest in the whole NFL. And
I'd say the only receiver that played in the last few seasons that deserved to be the highest paid player ever would have been Megatron. I think Calvin Johnson would have been the only receiver that had the stats and the ability to back it up. I mean, he broke Jerry Rice's record that I don't think anybody expected to be broken ever. And you didn't see him going out demanding. Now, I mean, the way that he left Detroit, there's this and that, who knows that, but I mean, you didn't even see Megatron going out there saying he deserved to be the highest paid player. He might have been the only one of that category that would have actually held up to the I can't think of the word. They could have actually owned up to it.
Yeah, I just think and highest paid player, the top 15 players are all quarterbacks, and I think that's fair. I mean, the quarterback commands the offense. They're the one throwing the ball. Obviously, somebody's got to catch it, but I think that's by far and away the most important position on the football field, and that's going to win you a championship. You can have a receiver go down, and you still got other people. I mean, obviously, Odell Beckham would be a big loss, but you could still get by. I mean, look at the Packers and Jordy Nelson went down. Granted, I don't think he's quite as good as Odell Beckham, but he's really close. But he can go. He went down the whole year, and the Packers did all right. You know, like you can get by.
They got James Jones. I mean, that helped. I mean, you can kind of, when you got a guy like Rodgers, you can kind of put whoever in there, and he's going to make him a better player.
The perfect example of that is you look at the season we had with Nelson out versus the season we had when Rodgers went out. Completely different results. So I think that backs up your point, Mike, completely. That the QB is number one.
I mean, I think he's just crazy. He's not going to get that money, regardless. But I do think it's a good point to make that, and it's the way of the league. Like, D tackles do make a lot of money, and they can clog holes, and they're doing important things. But like, that's just there's defensive players all over the top 50 highest paid this year, and not very many offense outside of quarterback. There might be two, like Julio Jones and
probably Peterson.
But my point is, Odell Beckham is probably going to be more of a game impactor than a D tackle, unless you got like Reggie White out there. I think it's the way of the league that they pay these people, the DNs and D tackles, so much. But I just don't think it's necessarily warranted. I think that he should get more money than some of these D tackles. Like I said, take Inamik and Sue out and put your average D tackle in there, and see how that game goes. If they win or whatever, and then take Odell Beckham out and put your average receiver in there, and see. I feel like the average receiver versus Odell Beckham is going to have much more of an impact than if you took Sue out.
What if you use this scenario? You take out
impactful player and position value in my mind than a D tackle.
Well, it's like last year. You take out J.J. Watt, you take out Jadeveon Clowney, and what happened? Houston still made the playoffs. They still almost beat the Patriots to get farther. So, I mean, it just goes to show you it's a position you can plug someone else in. They might not be as dominant, but they're not going to lose you a game.
Yeah. I mean, I don't got much else to say on that. I think it's kind of crazy that some people get paid more than him. And I don't think they should, but I also think I'm like a firm believer in playing out your whole rookie contract, because you got to prove yourself before you make a big deal. But, Barb, you got anything else?
No, I'm done fathoming the idea of him getting a lucrative contract that large.
I mean, I think we all can agree it's not going to happen, and I don't think it should happen. I think he deserves a big contract, but I don't think it's necessarily anywhere near quarterback money. But I think that's pretty much.
But it is also the Giants. I mean,
sadly, he's gonna get it. Not the highest paid player, but he's gonna get something worth more than what I think he deserves. But he's gonna get something.
I agree.
I think he'll get about 19-20 million. Honestly.
Yeah, I think.
For being honest, the Giants would pay him 19-20 million.
And I mean, he's in a good spot in the sense that he's 24 years old. So, but in theory, he's only looking at Antonio Brown's 28, and Julio Jones is 28, 29. So if you can still be productive at that level, imagine him getting better in the next 4 years. That just, if that theoretically works out, no injuries or any, weird quirks in there, he would be well worth $20 million a year, I guess. Yeah, well, let's move on. Kaepernick potentially signing with the Ravens. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it would be a good fit. I mean, it's our Harbaugh brother. Obviously, Kaepernick. Mooney's going to disagree with me, but Kaepernick hasn't been good since Jim Harbaugh left in San Francisco. So obviously, he's not going to start over Flacco. But I mean, it gives him a guy. Flacco. I mean, Flacco's not the most durable quarterback out there. I mean, he's gotten hurt more in the last couple of years. So, I mean, I think he could be a reliable backup under him. I just still kind of blew my mind to see that the Ravens actually this week went ahead and signed a guy from Arena League over Kaepernick already. And then there's a lot of people that are saying, well, Ryan Fitzpatrick got a job before Kaepernick. Dan Orlowski, the guy that ran it out of the back of the end zone and didn't know it in Detroit, got a job before Kaepernick. But it's like Mike said this a long time ago on the podcast, nobody wants a distraction as a backup quarterback. Like, nobody wants that. And I feel like Baltimore could be a good city for Kaepernick because it's kind of more of a blue-collar city. I feel like there's more of an issue with what he was trying to preach in San Francisco with, not standing for the national anthem. And, I feel like there's more of an issue there, so I feel like his impact could be better on those type of public relations or whatever. But, I mean, I think it could be, sign him to a 1 or 2 year deal, see how it goes. And, I mean, if Flacco goes down and Kaepernick's definitely your guy, you go with it. You can argue, yeah, Kaepernick had 16 touchdowns last year, but, 16 touchdowns is not going to win you a job in the NFL anywhere. So that's all I got.
I'm going to keep my argument purely sports related. I think unless he can prove to himself or prove to other teams that he can be a passer first, I don't think he's ever going to really make anything himself anymore because, yeah, he was successful with being mobile, sadly, primarily against the Packers. But once teams figured out how do we stop the mobile quarterback, how do we prevent them from being such a dual threat, yes, there's still times when it works, not as great as it did for him. I don't think he's really going to make much of himself. I personally think the best fit for him in the league is Seattle, only because Wilson has that dual threat capability, but he's a primary passer first. I think that's the only place that Kaepernick can really prove himself with a pretty solid team there. But unless he can show that he's going to pass the ball and take his time in the pocket or at least allow a play to develop, I think he's kind of numbered. And if any team even offers him anything over a 1 year contract, I don't even know why. I think if anything, he's going to get a 1 year, and I don't think he's even going to get that this year. But I think he needs to prove he can pass first. And without doing that, no team's really going to want to take him because it's just going to become a liability.
Yeah, when you said Seattle, were you saying like if Russell Wilson got hurt, like send him there as a backup, or?
Yeah, I don't know what the quarterbacks. I don't know what the situation's like there in Seattle, but I think based on how they play, that's the best option for him because since Wilson is able to throw and run, they already have an offense set up that way. So Kaepernick would be able to naturally flow, like bend in, kind of go with the flow. I don't think they should sign him on as like a number 2, but I think that's the only place that he can really, if needed, show a spark of say success. But I just think that's the best fit for him to really be able to apply his skill.
Okay. Yeah, I think that'd be a good fit for him. I think like the attitude up there would be a good fit for him too. But
I could also
go ahead.
I could also see him in Arizona with Carson Palmer kind of on his last limb. He's I think 37, 38. I don't really know who they got behind him, just waiting for him to shine. But might not be a kind of sit on the bench a couple years and figure it out because I think he wants to be a starter, and I just don't think that any team is going to take that risk at this point in time. Based on he hasn't really been productive since Harbaugh left, and Harbaugh is one of those if you coach him up like Harbaugh. He makes players better, and he takes players that weren't dominant like him, and he makes them much, much better players because of his coaching ability. And he was a quarterback himself. I think he was a dual threat guy. So, kind of comes with the territory. He's known the ropes, and I mean, I'm sure John in Baltimore runs a very kind of similar offense, except with Kaepernick, um, he was more of a runner, and I feel like obviously with Flacco's strictly a 6'6", 230-pound pocket passer, so he's not going to leave the pocket. So,
just kind of touching quick on your Cardinals comment. Good and a bad for that. I think it could be a good fit. Like Bruce Arians is a wizard when it comes to coaching quarterbacks and working with them and making them better. But at the same time, I think Bruce is going to want to kind of whip them into shape. And I don't know if Kaepernick is really going to be willing to give up all of his off-the-field stuff, be it if it's a good or bad thing. Like I said, I'm not getting into that stuff today. I just don't know if he's going to be willing to listen to Arians the way that he should.
right.
But BA would be a great coach for him to allow Kaepernick to better the skill he has, and he could probably put him back into being a starting role. I'm not saying that they'd plan on Palmer retiring and moving on with Cap, but I think if Cap could really take his head out of his ass for a little bit and focus on the sport, I think BA would really turn him around in a positive manner. But who knows?
Yeah, I think Cap had a decent season last year with the team that was around him. I think it was decent. I will actually side with Nate in the sense that I think Harbaugh does bring players up. I think that he's a great coach. I think you can see that all over the place. The evidence is just endless. Look at that 49ers team. He kind of took a team out of nowhere, brought them up to the Super Bowl, left, and they've had issues with people leaving retirement or, like DUIs and stuff like that. But either way, he took that team from nothing, brought them up quickly, turned them back into nothing when he left. And they're still nothing. And it looks like from the looks, there's a lot of rebuilding. I mean, they probably borderline like bottom 3 team in the league. And then Harbaugh goes to Michigan, and Michigan's an all right. They got history there, but like they're all right. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're a top 10 program. Like just immediately a top 10 program in the NCAA, and it's crazy. He's a great coach. I think he does make his players better than they should be. I think you'll see that with Jabril Peppers. I don't think he's nearly as good out of a system with Jamar Ball type like that. And I think he's overdrafted. But
Jamar Ball, is that what you just said?
No, he said Julius Peppers.
No, he said.
Did not say either.
He said Jabril. Got that right, but I thought he said Jamar Ball. I was like,
I think with Kaepernick, I think that's what it is. It's people don't want him because they don't want the distraction, whether it was right, wrong, or otherwise, taking a knee or whatever. It brought negative energy to that facility, to that team, to him, national news and everything. Whether that actually affects the inside of the locker room, I can't tell you. I don't know. I'm not inside an NFL locker room. But I would assume that plays a role. And, some people may agree with it on the team. I believe people came out, a couple, maybe a center or something came out and said that he didn't stand for that. Like, it was ridiculous because people are always going to have their riffs, and why bring that into your locker room for what's most likely going to be a backup quarterback, and just why deal with it? That's like when people, like Greg Hardy, for the most part, why deal with it? You're going to have to get some freak show like Dallas to bring you in because they don't mind that stuff. Otherwise, people don't want to touch it. They don't want to touch Kaepernick. Regardless, like I said, he was decent, and he deserves to be signed more than half these other quarterbacks based on pure skill alone. But, I wouldn't take a chance on him. I don't think teams should. It's not risk isn't worth the reward. He's not going to get you to a Super Bowl at this point in his career. He's 29 some years old, 29, and I think he's 29. It's not worth it. Sign him for a backup. I don't got the problem with the Ravens signing him couple weeks and then Flacco taking over. He might be the best option for like right now. But I don't have a problem with teams not picking him up based on his skill and his actions. Whether, like I said, whether I believe what he did was right or wrong, who cares? I think it's a distraction. But
All right, guys, we want to get to our 2 minutes.
let's do our 2 minutes. I'm gonna rip mine first. Recently, Ryan Johansson with the Predators just signed an 8-year, $64 million contract. That was awesome. 24 years old. I think he's got huge potential. I think the series would have been a little bit different had he played in the Stanley Cup win and not gotten hurt in the conference finals. But you know, he's 24, only going to build, and got him sealed up for 8 years. That's awesome. I'm super excited for that, and the Preds are already really young, and I'm pumped. I think it's an awesome signing. I'm jacked up for it.
Darb, what do you got?
So I guess kind of a slow week this week for sports. So I'm going to kind of talk about Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather.
What? I thought Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather were off limits until August.
I'm purely talking about not the match. Nothing has to do with the match.
Okay.
All their little shows they're putting on in Los Angeles.
Not even that. I just think, first off, the price of the pay-per-view. Why? Why has it got to be so expensive? Why does it have to be $99? I just think that you're taking away from the hardworking Americans who probably want to just see a crazy fight between the last bad boy in boxing. And he's not really a bad guy in boxing. It's just that out of the ring, he likes to beat women against maniacs from UFC. I just think it draws so many people in. Why has it got to be so expensive? Secondly, the way that they're selling their tickets is just, why are they going to brokers? I think what you're doing there is you're screwing the fans over. I get it. You're trying to make money, and it's probably a lot of it coming from Floyd's side. But why does it got to be like you're stealing? I mean, I'm gonna watch the fight. I'm gonna stream it online. You go on Reddit.com. You can watch whatever you want. As long as you don't download it, you're in the clear. At least that's what I think. Don't quote me on that. But
we don't want computers blowing up over it.
But it's like you go back to, especially when you go back to Mayweather-Pacquiao. It's like when that fight came out, $99, it's like, okay, I understand it, I get it. And then that fight happened, and then you felt like, at least the people who bought it, what the fuck did I just do? I just wasted $100 on a terrible match. I just don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. I get it. The whole tour thing, they're trying to sell, get money, do it all. I understand it, but why do you got to try to make it so expensive? But like I said, I'm going to watch. I'll stream it online. Thank you, Reddit, for providing that to me. And you'll hear more about the fight itself in the coming weeks.
Garb, I got two things for you based on what you just said. One, don't buy the fight. Just go to Hooters, look at some tits, and eat some wings, and it's free. Two, another thing that people have made me aware of that kind of is a smart idea with when you buy the fight, say you throw like a party or something like that. Just if you have 10 friends over, have them each donate $10 towards the fight costs, and you got your $100. I mean, then you sit in your house, you drink your beer, you eat your wings, and you get on with it. But on another note, my 2 minutes, I want to talk about this whole
easy. I wanted to address his comments. I also think that it's ridiculous. I
think it's ridiculous, but that's just another thing that you could do.
I bought the Ronda Rousey fight, and
how was that 17 seconds?
And yeah, 12 seconds against what's that Carrero, that Brazilian chick. It was an awesome 12 seconds, but afterwards I was like, that's it. We don't get your ass up. Let's go round two here.
or at least like have some good like commentary or something.
Then also the Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fight. You get hyped up, and at least that one went a long time, but it sucked. The problem with the fight is you pay this money, this ridiculous sum of money, and you never know what you're going to get, which I guess is maybe part of the thrill of it. I think it's garbage. There should be like a money-back guarantee. If there's no knockout, you get 50% of your money back. Like, that's garbage. I think it's ridiculous, and I think they should like make the prices more reasonable. I totally agree with you.
Or they should charge it by the round. Like if it's first round's $10, second round's $20. Like I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna use my 2 minutes and talk about what's going on in Big D, as like they like to call it. Once again, the Cowboys are covering up with whatever the hell shenanigans Ezekiel Elliott's gotten himself into. But this is just Dallas. I mean, Mike kind of hit on it a little bit. You don't want to bring. No franchise wants to bring in a idiot like Greg Hardy. As far as with Zeke, obviously he did something wrong at that bar. He's already got those allegations. Why is it every player that comes out of Dallas, you don't hear anything? Like it's like if this happened in Green Bay, if this happened in Minnesota, if this happened in anywhere else, you hear about the backlash. In Cleveland, we couldn't stop hearing what was going on with Johnny Manziel. Why in Dallas is everything covered up and so it's like their sacred land? Like I don't know. I hope something comes from this. Obviously, he got in a bar fight and there was like evidence on Twitter that he got into it with someone, and it's just like one of those things. He's a piece of garbage human being, and I wish him the worst. So that's my 2 minutes.
Yeah, Dallas, they always get those scrubs.
You don't hear anything. That's what drives me nuts. It's like they just rub it on the other side, and it's like you don't hear squat about it. It drives me nuts.
I don't know. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much all we got here. Unless you guys got anything else.
So
that's it. Well, next week we should have Mooney back. He's in Canada doing whatever Canadians do, chopping wood probably.
Drinking some Molson.
And yeah, so that's our show. Comment, subscribe, tweet belligerent things at Mooney, at Thomas Mooney, Twitter handle, something along the lines of that. That's a wrap.